All right, hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to set up PyCharm projects. For PyCharm, in order to set it up correctly, we want to make sure that we have something called the Python interpreter working. This is an existing project, something we worked on last year, recreating the New York Times spelling bee game. We could do something like that this semester. So you should be thinking about what you want to do. Puzzle or graphical type of application. A specific one. You're guessing words, trying to use this letter in the middle, and there's going to be some kind of and this is all running in Python. So eventually we'll be working with images, we'll be working with sounds, and other files and scripts. But how do we even start a project? So let's look at that. So when you make a new project on PyCharm, you'll first actually see a different window than this. It's like a home screen, and it'll give you some options. You're just going to want to click on New Project. When you create a new project, you want to give it a name. Maybe you could say something like Project 1 and whatever you're working on. Let's say it's that math crunching project. And then you're going to pick a location for that project. If you hit this folder here, you can pick your location. Let's see, on the desktop, for a previous video, I believe we made a few folders. This was it, right? Yeah, we already made a Project 1 Math Crunching folder in a previous video. So we can use this. What you will see will happen will be that we're going to end up making a folder in this folder. So it's probably not exactly what we want. So I'm just going to select the projects folder, and it's going to end up creating a folder called, based on the name of the project, Project 1 Math Crunching. So it didn't actually need this folder here. We could say OK. We can see here it lists Project 1 Math Crunching, so it's actually creating that folder. If you're familiar with using Git, you can use Git. We're not going to use Git in this class. In my experience, we just want to start without it, and we can add it later if needed. And then we're going to want to select the Python version, the interpreter that we're using to run Python. Now, for you, if there's not something automatically selected here, you're going to have to find the Python executable file on your computer. Your file should be in the C drive, and from there you're just going to have to look up how to find it. Here it's already selected. My particular Python is in the programs folder under a few other folders: app data, local, programs, Python, and then Python 3.12, which is the version number, and then accessing that executable file. Let's see, did it select? Yeah, we'll just use that. And then we'll hit create. You can either select to put it in the same window and add it as a tab, or a new window. I always like doing new windows. So we have an entirely new window to be running this application. And then it'll load a few things. It's going to load some supporting code and packages and libraries for us to use for the basics of our project. And it might take a minute or two. If your computer is running really slowly, like you're typing and you're like waiting, sometimes this does happen with the computers in our lab, and that often means that we need to do some kind of reset for your computer, like reloading the operating system, which is something we can't do. We'll have to get a tech guy to do that. So if that does happen, send me an email. I'll have to send an email to the tech guy, and he'll come to the lab, and then he'll fix it, because I don't have that kind of administrative privileges. So once you make the project, you'll see something like this on the left. You should have a tab that says project, and you'll see the what's called the root folder, where a project is located. And then it's going to always come with this .v&v folder, which stands for virtual environments. We're just going to ignore this folder. So when you are making new files, don't put them in the .v&v folder. We're going to put them directly in this folder. So if you want to make a new Python file, what you'll do is you right-click on this folder, and then we'll go to New, and we can make the file that we want. Most of the time, we're going to be making Python files, so we'd select this file. If you wanted to make something like a text file, we'd make that. If you want to make another folder, we'd say directory, things like that. But we'll just make a Python file here and give it a name. The format that I'm going to want you guys using for many of our homeworks and projects is to say either P or H. The P standing for project, the H standing for homework, the number of that project or homework. And then we'll say an underscore. Then we're going to say, for most projects, checker in all caps. And then your first name, we'll just say, we'll make up a name here, John Smith. And that's it. So everything is separated by underscores. Underscore is the key. That is, you have to press shift for, and it's next to the numbers, next to the 0 key. So different from a hyphen. So you have to press shift and to get the underscore, and then once we have all that, press enter. The reason we need it in this format is for a lot of our homeworks and projects, I'm going to be running a software to grade the projects and homeworks, and the name has to be in the right format in order for it to display and grade things correctly. So it is important that you follow this format for your assignments. And here we have it. This is a Python script, and it's going to let us type the programming inside this box here using this development environment, which is PyCharm. We'll be able to run our scripts by pressing this play button. We'll be able to debug our scripts, meaning we'll be able to slow down the execution and go one line at a time in order to see how the computer is actually reading the script. And eventually we'll be posting things to the console. We might even be working with images, but that won't happen until October or November, before we start really working with images. What else? Let's look at our interpreter. Sometimes, despite setting up the project, you might still have a message at the top that says something like configure Python interpreter. So if you see a message like that right here, what we want to do is go to File and then Settings. In the settings, you can do all sorts of things. You can change the font size. You can change the whether it's dark theme or light theme. You can change the zoom, and many other things. So if you have a setting that you want to change, you can check it out here. But we want to go to this tab that says Project and find Project Interpreter. And here you should see that you have an interpreter selected. If you don't have one selected, you're going to hit Add Interpreter, add a local interpreter, and you'll have to find that interpreter. This is also where we download packages. For the beginning of your class, we're really not going to need any package except for pip, which should already be installed as part of the package window as part of this project. Eventually, we'll want to add things add other packages that we want to use as part of our programs. And we'll do that using this little plus sign where we can search for it here, and then we can install it, and then use the scripts associated with that package. And there's many packages available, but we'll look at that another day. So if you are not able to run your script because it says configure Python interpreter, you have to come to here through the settings, find the interpreter on your system. It should be in the C drive, and once it's selected, then you should be able to run your script here. Now right now our script doesn't do anything, so maybe if I wanted to do something, I could create a variable. Maybe I could store a value in it, and maybe I'll just print this variable. So we have a working program. Hooray. We're going to talk about variables in the next video, or maybe binary before that, and we'll learn all the stuff you can do in Python in later videos. But when we run this, we'll see that this little window pops up. This is what's called the console. And what the console is used for is for displaying text. So it's going to see, it gives us this little message about the script we're running and the executable. The Python is interpreting this script, and then we get our outputs. We see that we printed this value 10 that was stored in this thing called a variable. So that is how we set up projects using PyCharm. One last thing before we end this video, let's minimize a few things. We're going to see here that this PyCharm application is called PyCharm Community Edition. This is the free version. So if you want to try using this on a personal computer, you're going to need to download a few things. One, if you have a Apple machine, you should have an Apple operating system, a Mac. You should have Python already installed, but if you have Windows, you have to download Python. Oops. Download Python, please. And if you Google download Python, you should see it at python.org, where you can download Python. And you would click this download button and make sure you select Windows and go from there. And Python comes with a installer package called pip, which you often need. And if we want to get PyCharm, we'll say something similar. It's on a website called jetbrains.com. And the key for this website is we want the community edition, and it's not going to give us that right away. It's going to show us the professional version. So we actually have to scroll down a little bit to find the community edition. You see here, it's got this dark background, and then we could select Windows, or, well, somewhere there's a way to get it on Apple, and then we would download this. And once you have Python installed, and once you download the community edition, you probably have to select the interpreter and then be able to run things from there. Yeah, so you need to do that as well if you want to work on a personal computer. Big question I've gotten before, one more thing we'll cover. Okay, let's say I'm working on a project in class and I want to also work on a project on my computer. How do I work on both at the same time? Either you have to use a version control software like Git, where you can use a website to store and update your files so you can have them easily accessible on 2 locations or multiple locations. Or you could do it manually and basically email yourself, or use OneDrive or Dropbox or some other server to hold your files and be downloading and re-updating manually, which is a lot of work, but sometimes it is faster for beginners. So that's an option too. All right, and in future videos, we're going to talk about how we actually program, how do we use the functionality of Python. So stay tuned for that.